The sun was just beginning to rise over the ancient city of Rome, casting a golden glow over the marble columns and bustling streets. In a small, modest home near the heart of the city, a man named Lucius sat quietly, his eyes fixed on the pages of a worn scroll. The words he read were not just ink on parchment. They were the teachings of Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher. Lucius had spent years studying these words, but today they struck him differently. Today, he understood the true importance of self-sufficiency, a core idea in Stoicism. Lucius had not always been a student of philosophy. Once, he had been a merchant, chasing wealth and approval from others. He measured his worth by the coins in his purse and the praise of his peers. But life had a way of teaching hard lessons. A sudden storm at sea had destroyed his ship, and with it, his fortune. The friends who had once flocked to him disappeared like shadows at dawn. Alone and uncertain, Lucius had turned to philosophy in search of answers. Seneca's words became his guide. The philosopher wrote that true happiness does not come from external things, money, fame, or the opinions of others. Instead, it comes from within, from self-sufficiency. A self-sufficient person does not depend on luck or the favor of others to be content. They cultivate inner strength, reason, and virtue. They understand that the only thing truly in their control is their own mind and actions. At first, Lucius struggled with this idea. How could he be happy without wealth, without friends? But as he reflected, he realized that his old life had been built on shaky ground. His happiness had been borrowed, never truly his. He decided to test Seneca's teachings. He began to practice self-sufficiency in small ways. He grew his own food, learned to mend his own clothes, and spent time in quiet reflection. He stopped seeking validation from others, and instead focused on living with integrity. One day, a former business partner visited him. The man was shocked to see Lucius living so simply. "How can you be content like this?" he asked. Lucius smiled. "I have everything I need," he replied. "I am free from the fear of loss because I depend on nothing outside myself." His friend scoffed, but Lucius knew the truth. His peace was real, not borrowed. Over time, Lucius became known in his neighborhood not for his wealth, but for his wisdom. People came to him for advice, and he shared what he had learned from Seneca. He taught them that self-sufficiency is not about rejecting the world, but about mastering oneself. A self-sufficient person can enjoy good fortune without being ruled by it and endure hardship without being broken by it. Years passed, and Rome faced turmoil. Vast political strife and economic hardship shook the city. Many suffered, clinging desperately to what they could not control. But Lucius remained steady. He had learned to distinguish between what was in his power and what was not. He could not stop the chaos around him, but he could control how he responded to it. His self-sufficiency became a refuge, not just for himself, but for others. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Lucius sat again with Seneca's writings. He thought of how far he had come. He no longer feared loss or craved approval. He had found a deeper kind of wealth, the kind that no storm could take away. He closed the scroll and looked out at the horizon, grateful for the lessons that had changed his life. The story of Lucius is not just a tale from the past. It is a lesson for all of us. In a world that constantly tells us to seek more money, more status, more possessions, Stoicism reminds us that true freedom comes from within. Self-sufficiency is not about isolation or hardship. It is about building an unshakable core so that no matter what happens in the outside world, we remain standing. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." But bravery is not just facing external dangers. It is facing ourselves. It is choosing to rely on our own reason, our own virtue, our own strength. When we do this, we become like a tree with deep roots, unshaken by the strongest winds. So ask yourself, where does your happiness truly come from? Is it borrowed, or is it yours? The path to self-sufficiency is not easy, but it is worth every step. For in the end, the only thing we truly own is ourselves.